Hello, everybody. I just wanted to make a quick video talking about the future of Disguised and sort of what I think is going to be happening with their team composition. As far as I can tell, there's only 3 teams right now currently going into Split 2 for North American Challengers that are making changes to their team comp. The first one obviously being Disguised, who I'm talking about today, but the other two being Mad Lions and OR Esports. Now, we don't have a whole lot of data as to what Mad Lions and OR Esports will be changing within their team comp moving forward. What we do have data on is what Disguised will be doing with their team comp. So if you don't know, Disguised had a 5-stack of Xiff, Clear, Exalt, Gangsta, and Steel, with their 6th man being Riku. Now, this team comp stayed together pretty much the entirety of Split 1. You can see these are their past or their uh, previous 3 games here. Um, or not 3, sorry, like their previous 5 games, I believe, is the ones that I pulled up. Yeah, so these are their last 3 weeks of Split 1. So you see week 3, it's OR Esports with a pretty standard team comp. Same thing here for week 4. And then you see week 5, and you'll notice Exalt is gone. So Exalt parted ways with Disguised, and they didn't give an actual reason why. They just said that he left due to differences. And I don't think it was because of bad performance from Exalt. I really don't think he's a bad player. I think he just genuinely didn't want to participate in the team for whatever reason, or other team players didn't want to play with him for whatever reason. He's not with Disguise anymore, which meant, although they did have a pretty solid performance, it is theorized that he was let go after the pretty defeating loss to M80, where they went 13-2 on Haven. The first half of which M80 went completely flawless on. Um, so there's some theory there that maybe they just wanted to make some internal changes. But typically you would make those internal changes during the break in between, the split and mid, that the split 1 and mid season, or mid season and split 2, rather than just immediately kicking him off the team. So it's theorized that that might be the reason, or that Exalt just wanted to leave. Either way, after this loss, after week 4 going into week 5, Exalt did leave, and the registered 6-man Riku stepped in. Now, I would like to point something out. If you look at the way that this team comp was played, I won't use this M80 game as the way to look at it because it just wasn't a good game for them. But we can go ahead and take a look, and this is the pretty typical team comp, okay? Xiff would typically play Sentinel. Obviously, here's a little different. You see him on Race, but typically he plays Sentinel, usually Killjoy. Clear typically takes the role of duelist, occasionally being a little bit of a flex duelist player, so switching in between roles, but for the most part mainly plays duelist roles. Exalt was the flex initiator, meaning he pretty much typically would play initiator, and usually the more offensive initiators, meaning they'll help do more damage or help engage a lot better. But flex also means he might switch in between some different roles as well if needed for the team comp. Gangsta is typically the initiator player, the main initiator player, and typically he plays those vision initiators like Sova and Fade that will help you get vision on where your team is. And then Steel, who is the IGL for Disguised, typically plays controller. In fact, I think he only plays controller for Disguised. And so this is pretty much the team comp we're looking at. And then Riku comes in. Now Riku is a Sentinel player, which is an issue because the guy he's subbing in for is Exalt, and Exalt is an initiator player. Okay, so you have you've got Riku coming in, and he doesn't fit the role. He can't really fill in, like he doesn't fit in as a flex initiator player. So Riku actually ends up taking Xiff's role as Sentinel, and then Xiff switches to the initiator player, that more aggressive initiator player. And it was very clear immediately after this that Xiff just wasn't playing very well. Not to like hate on Xiff, but he just hasn't really been able to fit in that role very well as initiator. He's definitely a really strong sentinel player, usually on Killjoy. But in this case, he's switching onto initiator. Although he is still a solid player, it's just he's not in that role he's comfortable with, and so there was definitely a little bit of an issue there. So as time went on and mid-season started, you'll see here they also still had Riku, or sorry, it'd be right here. They still had Riku on that Sentinel player, and it was very clear, at least in this game against M80, they definitely needed to switch something up, right? So going into the final, once they moved into that lower bracket, what they decided to do is they took Riku off of the Sentinel role, put Xiff back on Sentinel, and they put Riku on controller. Now, I know what you're thinking. Wait a minute, isn't Steel typically the controller player? Yes. So Steel took that flex initiator role, that aggressive initiator role, in the form of KO. Um, Throughout their entirety or the entirety of their play against TSM. He was on KO, and then Clear and Gangsta stayed on their respective roles. Now, why am I talking about this? Well, we bring in Ye. Now Ye is not an initiator player. Okay, so they've managed to sign Ye, and Ye is a really powerful player, but he plays duelist. Sometimes switching in between roles here and there. So I'd say he's a little bit of a flex duelist, but for the most part, he's duelist. You'll see the majority of his games are on Jet, and occasionally, or not occasionally, he usually played Chamber before the nerf. After the nerf, he wasn't really able to find his footing, hence why Cloud9 dropped him. But that doesn't mean he's not a strong Jet player, and he really is. I mean, he still has a 1.21 rating and an average combat score of 257.8. That's pretty impressive. Um, a positive KD overall. So it's not that he's a bad uh, Jet player. He's a really strong Jet player. But what I'm trying to say here is he's a duelist player, right? So if he's a duelist player, he doesn't really slot into Exalt's role. Okay, now who plays duelist for disguised? Clear. Okay, so you do have to think. All right, so is Ye just gonna slip in and take Clear's spot? And honestly, I think so. I think that may be what happens. And I'm not saying they're gonna let Clear go. Maybe he'll just slot over and take the initiator role. But what I think may happen is we'll see Ye take Clear's role. I think they might, and this is just my prediction. This is what I think is going to happen. I think they might let Clear go, knowing that they have a better duelist player here. And it's not that Clear's a bad duelist player, but you'll look, he's not top fragging for his team all the time, right? And so it's hard to say that he's a more valuable player than Clear, than Ye, knowing how powerful Ye is. So now that they're bringing Ye in, I think they might let go of Clear, but there's still the issue of, all right, who's gonna take the initiator role? Because they still don't have anybody to take that initiator role. And you saw them in their last matchup or their last series that they've played against TSM. You saw them switch and put Steel on that initiator role, but he definitely didn't look comfortable on it. And it was still very clear in that matchup that there was some stuff they still needed to work on. So my theory is Steel's gonna stay on controller, Xiff's gonna stay on Sentinel, Clear's gonna get replaced by Ye, and they're gonna bring in a new initiator player. That's my main theory right now. Okay, one of those more aggressive initiator players. What I think who I think they may bring in, is possibly, and this is going to be a little bit of a controversial take, and I'm not super aware of all the players that are free agents right now. So I could be entirely wrong about this, but this is my theory. I think they're going to bring in Ye, replace Clear with Ye, and then to find a new initiator, they may bring in Tupperware. If you don't know who Tupperware is, she's a really strong player. She played for Disguised in the Game Changers tournament. And although it's not typical for a female to be signed to a challengers team, it is still allowed. It's not like it's a male only tournament. Anybody can join. And we know Tupperware's a strong initiator player, and we know Disguised Toast knows Tupperware. and knows how well she can play. So I'm thinking maybe they'll bring her in. But there is also the other issue we have to talk about, Gangsta. And I don't know if they're gonna get rid of Gangsta, because he's really like, I mean, it's not that he's a good player. I mean, you can see he's definitely not playing as well as I think his team wants him to be able to play. Um, but at the same time, like they're still trying to figure out who's gonna fill Exalt's role. I don't know if they have the leniency or the ability to even think about letting Gangsta go, because then they have to find a whole new initiator player, and it's a whole other thing. And quite frankly, I just don't think they're gonna let Gangsta go on that. I think there's a chance, but yeah, my current prediction is I think Tupperware is going to be brought in to replace Exalt, while Yay replaces Clear. And that's my current prediction, and I could absolutely be wrong, and I'm sure there's a million other free agents out there that they might use instead of Tupperware. And obviously, a woman joining a challengers team, it's going to be a whole thing. And it's even if like one of the players were okay with it, it's up to Tupperware to decide because women are just naturally going to face a lot of backlash in this scene. And so, it's up to her if she wants to, or if she's prepared to deal with that. But I do think she's a good option here when they're looking for an initiator player. So yeah, that's my current prediction. And again, I could absolutely be wrong, but that's just what I think is going to happen. If you guys have your own predictions, or you've got, or you disagree with me, I understand. Or if you know of maybe some better players they might bring in instead of Tupperware. Another theory I have, and this one is like, I guess my second best guess, but I also don't think this is gonna happen. Or sorry, I don't really think this is gonna happen. Is they might just re-sign Exalt. They might just bring him back in. Because again, he's not now. I've actually seen Exalt likes to play Duelist more, but on Disguise he wasn't playing Duelist, and I think that might be the reason he left. So that's why I don't think they'll bring him back in. But that's also an option because Exalt's technically a free agent right now. But yeah, so that's sort of what I think is going to happen. I'm probably wrong. I have no idea what's going to happen. We won't know until Split 2 starts next week. So keep updated. I'll be streaming it all, of course. Yeah, and if you have your own ideas or theories, and again, if you know a free agent you think they might be signing instead, let me know. Or if you think Exalt, or sorry, not Exalt, or if you think Gangsta is going to be traded out himself or not, or replaced himself. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But this guy just did talk about other changes being made because again, Ye does not fill Exalt's role, so somebody else has to, which is why I think they're gonna replace Clear and then bring somebody new in, or it's entirely possible they just slot Clear over to Exalt's role because again, Exalt played a more aggressive initiators, so Breach, KO, Sky, even like these are players that you can sort of be aggressive with. And Clear's, although he's not an initiator player, he's a duelist player, which is a little bit of a more aggressive role. So maybe he'd be able to slot in. I don't know. It really just depends on what they decide to do. That's my current prediction: is that it'll be Tupperware taking in that initiator place and replacing Exalt, while Clear gets replaced by Yay. That's it. That's all I have to say. Thank you for watching. And if you guys enjoyed, make sure to scroll down, see if you're subscribed, and I'll see you guys next time, or on live stream if you come in. But yeah, that's my prediction. It's probably a little bit controversial, and it's probably wrong, but that's just what's going through my mind right now. All right, bye.